Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Well, guess what? The Andersons are rich. Or so we're led to believe. An episode of Father Knows Best starring Robert Young as Jim Anderson, going back 71 years to February 1st, 1951. And this is the Arizona Ranch Inheritance.
Mother, is Maxwell House really the only coffee in the world?
Well, your father says so, and your father knows best.
Yes, it's Father Knows Best, transcribed in Hollywood, starring Robert Young as father. A half-hour visit with your neighbors, the Andersons. Brought to you by America's favorite coffee, Maxwell House. The coffee that's always good to the last drop. We once knew a man who was extremely wealthy, and he had a wonderful system for acquiring money which we think will interest you. He was up every morning at 6, worked 14 hours a day, 7 days a week for almost 20 years. And then, when he was only 45 years of age, his uncle died and left him $3 million. Wasn't that nice? Of course, a thing like that would never happen to our friends the Andersons, but it almost did. Yes, sir, they came awfully close to being the richest family in Springfield. Like this.
I know, Frank, but I don't care what Gribble says. Look, Frank, Van Norton's willing to give us the land, and if the committee isn't willing to take it... Okay, Frank, okay. And you can tell Gribble for me that he's nothing but a pig-headed old goat. He's nothing but a self-centered, stubborn old jackass, that's what he is.
Is something wrong, dear?
Oh, that Gribble. He's killing the whole deal I worked out for the playground.
Jim, I wish you wouldn't take it so much to heart. After all, it isn't your responsibility.
Well, that isn't the point. I talked Van Norton into giving 10 acres of land for the playground. Giving it, mind you. And Gribble won't even take it. Says there must be something wrong with it.
But can't you tell the rest of the committee?
Margaret, I have told them. I've told them until I'm blue in the face.
Well, maybe if you talk to Mr. Gribble again.
Gribble? How can you talk to a lunatic? All you have to do is mention the name Van Norton and his nose lights up like a pinball machine.
I still say you've done everything you could.
Well, I'm not licked yet. I may not have as much money as Gribble, but I've got a lot more sense.
Of course you have, dear.
I suppose you think I haven't.
Jim, there's no point in arguing with me.
Well, there isn't anybody else around to argue with.
All right, dear, if it makes you feel any better.
Hello, Mother. Hello, Father.
Hello, Miss Hepburn.
Betty.
Betty, if you're going to start spouting poetry, I'm warning you right now.
Isn't this the most beautiful day you've ever seen?
Beautiful? It's snowing.
Snow.
Darling, I think you've picked a very bad time.
Floating to earth like feathers from an angel's wing.
Margaret, in exactly 1
Betty,
minute...
I think you'd better go up to your room.
But I didn't do anything.
You deliberately disobeyed me. I told you I was in no mood for any of that hogwash.
Father.
And that's all it is, hogwash.
Oh, I'm too happy to argue. If you say it's hogwash, it's hogwash.
Well, I'm glad somebody's happy around here.
Mother, do you know where I'm going next Friday?
No, dear.
To see a picture with Van Johnson.
Who's Van Johnson?
He's a Hollywood star, dear.
Oh, that one. You mean he's taking Betty to the movies?
Father.
Well, you just said...
He's in the picture. I'm going with Tanley Lawson.
Oh. Who's he?
He's a new one, dear, and a very nice boy.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Now I know what they mean by 9-day wonders. Betty's boyfriend.
Aren't they, though?
Hi, everybody. What's cooking?
Oh.
Jim, now what is it?
Why does everybody have to be so happy.
Boy, will you hear what we're gonna do?
Hello, Bud.
Joe Phillips and I bought a half interest in a corn popper, and we're gonna clean up.
Hello, Bud.
We're gonna set up a stand outside the movies and sell popcorn to all the kids. How's that for an idea?
Bud.
And all we have to... What?
I said hello.
Oh, hi, Dad. And all we have to do is find some place to plug it in.
Plug what in, dear?
The corn popper.
What corn popper?
The one I bought with Joe Phillips. You see, we bought a half interest in a corn
Bud,
popper.
don't you know when you're being kidded?
About what?
The corn popper.
What corn popper?
Oh, no.
Oh, gosh. I don't say anything funny about our corn popper. All
All right, Bud, just forget the whole thing.
But I can't. I have to supply the salt.
Daddy! Mommy!
Oh, dear.
Now what?
I was elected! Oh, Mommy, I was elected!
Well, if it isn't William Jennings Bryan.
Kathleen, how many times have I told you?
Oh, Daddy, I was elected! Isn't it wonderful?
All right, now just calm down. Take it easy.
I was elected.
To what were you elected?
I'm the treasurer. They had an election, and I'm the treasurer.
The treasurer? Say, Kathy...
Bud, not the first day. Take it easy.
Well, I was just thinking...
Margaret, do you know what this is all about?
Why, of course, dear. Kathy was elected treasurer.
Margaret. Of what?
My club, Daddy. The little vultures.
The little who?
Vultures. It's a kind of bird. And I'm the treasurer.
Wait a minute. Where did you ever dig up a name like that?
Well...
I'll be back later, Mom. I gotta go...
Bud, come back here.
Holy cow.
Were you the one who cooked up this delightful little tag for Kathy's club?
Well, gosh, Dad, they said they wanted some kind of a bird's name, and, well, have you ever watched them?
We like it, Daddy. We even made Bud an honorary vulture.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer boy.
Betty.
Never mind, Betty, I'll get it. The little vultures. Leave it to my children. Hello? Oh, hello, Hector. What? Well, thank you very much. Oh, sure. I'm the luckiest guy in town. Sure. Okay, Heck. Yeah, I'll be seeing you. Congratulations. If there ever was a guy who needed congratulations less.
Who was it, Jim?
Hector Smith. He wants to extend his heartiest congratulations. Isn't that nice?
About what, dear?
He didn't say.
Maybe he heard about me.
He's known about you for years, and believe me, that isn't what he meant.
Jim, I won't be able to sleep a wink all night. Why don't I call Elizabeth back?
Well, I guess you won't have to. Maybe this time our dear friend Hector will let us all in on the joke. Some joke. Hello, Heck. Oh, George. I'm sorry, George. You see, Heck called me a minute ago, and I thought... Well, thank you, George, but I don't know what... George. No, we're not having any celebration. We don't even know... George. Hello, George. Oh, fine.
Was it Hector?
No, it was George Phillips. And he's very happy for us.
What on earth do you suppose it means?
I don't know, but if those guys are having a good time at our expense...
I'll get it.
You stay where you are. I'll find out what this is about if it takes all night. And if that's the kind of friends I've got... Hello? Hello?
Jim, it was the front door.
Oh. Get a man so mixed up he doesn't know what bell is ringing. After a while, I'll probably hear bells when nothing's ringing. Yes?
Mr. Anderson?
Yes?
Well, my name is Ford. Richard Ford, of the legal firm of McGonigal, Bristol, and Finch.
Oh? Well, come in, Mr.
Ford.
Mr. Ford.
Thank you very much.
Jim, if it's the paper boy, tell him I'll pay him next time.
It wasn't the paper boy, honey.
Is that Mrs. Anderson?
Yeah, she's in the living room, but...
Well, why don't we tell her the good news?
What good news?
All in good time, Mr. Anderson. All in good time. Mrs. Anderson. And all the little Anderson.
Honey, this is Mr. Ford of,
McGonigal, Bristol, and Finch. Attorneys. How do you do?
Well, how do you do?
Sit down, Mr. Ford.
Thank you.
Why don't you kids find something to do someplace?
Oh, no. Let them stay, by all means. After all, this concerns the entire family. Doesn't it?
What does?
Yes, indeed. Now, Daddy, you are related to Joseph James Anderson, are you not?
Yes, I am not.
What's that?
I've never even heard of any Joseph James Anderson.
Well, now, that's very strange. I had it on very good authority that, Robert Bruce Anderson, perhaps?
Yeah, it was my father, but...
Oh, I knew I hadn't made a mistake. Mr. Anderson, Joseph James Anderson was your father's cousin, once removed.
Oh, you mean Cousin Joe.
Precisely.
We haven't heard anything about him for, 30 years. Matter of fact, I think he died about 20 years ago, didn't he?
No, Mr. Anderson. Joseph James Anderson passed from this vale of tears less than a month ago.
That's impossible. Why, he was over 70 when he decided to run away from home and go to Arizona.
He died last week at the age of 102.
Well, you see, my father always said he smoked too much. The poor old coot.
The poor old coot, you may be interested to know, made you his sole heir.
Jim! Father! Daddy!
No, don't get excited. If I know Cousin Joe, we've inherited 3 barrels of bottle tops. Betty?
Father, isn't it the most wonderful thing you've ever heard?
The phone's ringing.
I've never been so excited in my whole life.
Pardon me, Mr. Ford, while I answer the phone.
Well, that's quite all right.
If I help me next summer, I'm going to spend my vacation in a nice, quiet boiler factory. Hello? Oh, hello, Mr. Gribble. Well, thank you very much. Now, about the Van Norton land. Well, naturally, advice about what investments? You want my advice? Well, if you think I'm qualified to, all right, JP. At 12:30 tomorrow. Yes, see you then. Goodbye. He wants my advice?
Jim, we're waiting for you.
Well, that was Mr. Gribble, honey. He wants me to give him some advice on his investments.
But let's talk about it later, dear. Mr. Ford wants to tell us about the inheritance.
Why don't you sit down, Father? Here's a cushion, Daddy.
Want me to run out for a cigar, Dad?
Look, I just finished telling you not to get excited. I know Cousin Joe, and he never had a dime in his whole life.
Well, that may be true, Mr. Anderson. But if you'll be good enough to sign this retainer, I'll be happy to tell you about the estate.
Well, okay. What is it, 4 barrels of bottle tops?
It's a 15,000-acre cattle ranch, Mr. Anderson.
A ranch?
15,000 acres?
With a possible value of $9 million.
Jim!
Father! Gosh!
Oh. Holy cow!
February 1st, 1951. Father Knows Best on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Classic Radio Theater family, you know our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by just creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me because, you know, I'm working like 67 hours a day. Now, Mike's offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets ever. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. You'll never want to sleep on anything else once you slept on a set of Giza Dream sheets. A special offer for you right now. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. Call 1-800-928-4715. Use the promo code Wyatt. Or go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Wyatt. It's good on anything on the website. That number again, 1-800-928-4715. Use my promo code Wyatt. And you're in tune with Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, that is me, and an episode of Father Knows Best from February 1st, 1951.
A week's gone by and the white frame house on Maple Street hasn't changed a bit. That's the same snow on the front lawn, the same slippery spot on the porch that Jim's going to fix next Sunday. Everything's just as it's always been, except for the people. Yes, the Andersons have changed a little, I'm afraid. Not much, but a little. Like this.
Oh, that's fine, Frank. Oh, sure. Well, it really wasn't anything, Frank. That'll be fine, Frank. Sure, Wednesday's as good a night as any. You bet, Frank. Good night, Frank.
What did Charlie have to say, dear?
That was Frank.
Oh, how is George?
You're so cute. It may interest you to know, Mrs. Millionairess Anderson, that your husband is being given a testimonial dinner next Wednesday.
No.
Yeah.
Jim, how perfectly wonderful. What for?
Why, for putting through the playground. That's what for. It's all signed, sealed, and delivered.
Jim, that is wonderful.
Boy, what a playground that's going to be.
You and Mr. Van Norton have done a wonderful thing for Springfield, and I'm proud of you both.
Well, you know how it is with us rich men.
Jim, do you know what I'm going to do with our first $1,000,000? I'm going to buy Bud some new socks.
Good for you.
I have never seen a boy so hard on socks in my whole life. Look at this.
Honey, speaking of millions...
Yes, dear.
Don't be too surprised if Cousin Joe's ranch comes to less than Mr. Ford said.
I was only joking, dear.
I know. But when he said 9 million, that was only if each acre was a whole unit.
I didn't understand that very well, Jim. What was that unit business?
It's very simple, honey. In the cattle country, a unit is the amount of land required to feed a cow and her calf for 1 year. That's the way they figure.
And that's worth $600.
Roughly.
Then why do you say it might be less? 15,000 times 600.
Margaret, we aren't sure about the land. Maybe an acre won't feed a cow and a calf for a year. It might take 2 or 3.
Oh, Jim, really?
Well, it might. And if it takes 3 acres to make up a unit, then each acre's worth only $200. And the ranch is worth only a third. Or $3 million.
Oh, dear. We just have to get a smaller swimming pool, that's all.
Yeah. It might even take 10 acres to make a unit.
Well, Jim, let's not be ridiculous. After all, how much can a cow and one small calf eat?
I don't know. But if it did take 10 acres, well, that'd make it $60 an acre, and 15,000. We'd only have $900,000.
Wouldn't that be awful?
You know, I've got a good mind.
Jim, please. The front door open.
It would.
Bud?
It's me, Mother.
We're in the den, dear.
What's the matter with you?
Oh, Father. You got lipstick on your chin.
I have, huh? Somebody must have bit me.
Creepers, isn't this a miserable day?
Why, Betty, I thought you said...
Snow. All it ever does in this town is snow.
Wait a minute, Sugar. Let's get it out in the open. What happened?
Oh, it isn't important. I didn't want to go to the movies anyway.
So that's what it is.
What is?
She had a quarrel with Stanley Lawson.
I didn't either. It's all Father's fault.
My fault? What did I do?
He liked me when we were poor, but just because you had to go and get $9 million...
Now, wait a minute. In the first place, we weren't exactly poor. And in the second place, we've got the $9 million nicely whittled down to practically nothing.
You have?
It might even be less than $1 million.
Oh. Well, what good is that? He still won't take me. He says he can't afford loge seats.
Why, Betty...
I told him I didn't mind, but he says girls with $9 million always sit in loge seats.
Naturally. They save a whole row for girls with $9 million. It's the row right in back of the girls with $10 million.
Jim.
Well, this is the silliest thing I've ever heard. We haven't collected a dime. My bank book looks like an undernourished flapjack. And Stanley Lawson won't go out with my daughter because she's got $9 million.
Betty, don't you think if you explain to him that nothing has really changed?
But it has. Everything's changed.
Bud?
Hello, Dad.
Not another one.
Is anything wrong, dear?
Nah, that's Joe Phillips. What a pain he turned out to be.
Something amiss with the popcorn tycoons?
Well, why should I supply all the butter? I bought the salt, didn't I?
We were all so happy when we were poor.
He even had it figured out how many pounds of butter you can buy with $9 million.
I'll bet that'll fix all the popcorn from here to Lowe's, Calcutta.
Bud, if you and Betty don't take these things too seriously, I'm sure...
Mommy!
Oh, ye gods. Now what?
Why, Kathy, darling, what is it?
They kicked me out of the club.
Oh, Angel.
Margaret, why don't you let me... Kathy, why did they kick you out of the club?
They won't let me be a little vulture.
Never mind them, sweetheart. No one can keep you from being a little vulture. Well, you know what. Kathy, does our mythical 9 million have anything to do with your expulsion from the club?
Uh-huh. They said it was too suspicious.
What was?
They made me the treasurer, and the next day you had $9 million.
I don't know.
And they said I could never be the treasurer again, and I had to give back the whole 13 cents.
We're outcasts. That's what we are. Nothing but social outcasts.
Fine. Tell us all about it right after you answer the phone.
No, Jim, wait.
Well, I guess we'll wait. We have a break at the bottom of the hour so we can get all of the answers as to what's going on. February 1st, 1951. Father Knows Best here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll hear the conclusion along with an episode of Fibber McGee and Molly when we continue. But first, as I said, these important words. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station. Now the conclusion of Father Knows Best, February 1st, 1951.
Betty, why don't you take Kathy upstairs and get her cleaned up?
Okay. Come on, blabberface.
Oh, Betty, I was so happy being the treasurer.
Bud, the phone's ringing.
You want me, Dad?
Where did you go?
All of a sudden I got hungry. You want me to answer the phone?
No, never mind. Either they all answer it at once or they let the darn thing ring for an hour. Well, keep your shirt on. I'm coming. Hello? Hello, Heck. No, we were just sitting around having fun. I can't hear you, Heck. Sorry about what bad news? We haven't heard anything about any... Heck. Okay, Heck. Sure. If it'll make you happy, I'll keep the lower lip stiff, too. Thanks for calling, Heck. Goodbye. Gloomy character. Sounds like he just got a good look at the thing.
Who was it, Jim?
Hector. He heard the sad news, and he's very sorry.
What sad news, dear?
You don't suppose he's the field secretary for the little vultures, do you? Every time something happens to Kathy and the vultures, Heck's on the phone. Oh, my aching ear.
Why don't you let me get it this time?
No, I'll carry through to the bitter end. Better Mousetrap Anderson, that's me. One more trip to the phone and I get permanent possession. Hello. Hello, George. Thank you very much, George. Goodbye, George. This can go on all night.
What did George want, dear?
Same thing, bad news, keep a stiff upper lip, pip, pip, tally-ho.
Well, the least you could have done was ask him what bad news.
And play straight for those two practical jokers? Margaret, I'm surprised. You've known Heck and George as long as I have.
They were both perfectly sincere last time, Jim.
Say, that's right. They were, weren't they? Maybe I'd better call them back.
Jim, this time it's the doorbell.
Thank you very much. Treat a man like he needs a seeing-eyed door opener. Oh, hello, Mr. Ford.
Well, Mr. Anderson.
We were sort of hoping we'd hear from you. Come on in.
Thank you. It's been a busy week.
I'll bet you have. Honey, it's Mr. Ford.
Hello there.
Mrs. Anderson, how nice.
Go right into the den, Mr. Ford.
Thank you. Well, this is a comfy little spot, isn't it?
Why don't you sit at the desk, Mr. Ford, and then you can spread out all your papers and things.
Well, that would be nice.
Let me get a couple of cushions for you.
Oh, no, this will be fine, just fine. Now.
Yes?
Well, first, here's the receipt for your $100 retaining fee.
Oh, that.
It's very important, you know, all these little details. Let me see now. The ranch.
If you haven't anything else on your mind.
Jim, please.
Well, you must be very anxious.
Of course not. What do we care for a couple of $1 million, more or less?
Well, Jimmy, I'm afraid you're going to be just a little disappointed. You see, when I said $9 million,
Mr. Ford, how much is it worth?
Well, you remember what I told you about the unit system? 1 cow and 1 calf for 1 year?
Yes.
Well, on your cousin Joe's ranch, it seems that 1 cow and 1 calf need, quite a bit of land.
How much?
1,200 acres.
1,200?
Oh, Jim.
Which makes the value of the land, 50 cents an acre.
Oh, Jim.
Well, that isn't too bad, honey. We'll have a ranch to go to every summer, and all it cost us is the $100 we gave Mr. Ford.
Mr. Anderson, as your legal advisor, may I suggest that you forget the whole thing?
Forget it?
Well, you see, the land is only worth $7,500.
Whoa, what's wrong with $7,500?
Well, nothing except that we found a bill for $8,200 in back taxes.
Oh, no.
Remember Francois Villon? He was king for a day. Remember the Andersons? They were millionaires for a whole week, which is nice work if you can get it. Anyway, they're back to normal now, if you can call anything connected with the Andersons normal. Like this.
Wasn't Jimmy Woody sweet, Mommy?
Yes, dear.
He said he didn't care what anybody said. If I wasn't a little vulture, nobody was.
That's my girl.
Isn't this the most beautiful day you've ever seen?
She saw Van Johnson now.
Well, she went to the show with Stanley, but I think that's all she saw, Stanley.
Dad, I got the plaque all polished up. How does it look?
Oh, fine, Bud. Just fine.
Let me see it again, please. Oh, Jim, isn't it beautiful?
Now, where do you think we ought to put it, honey?
Well, in the den, naturally. To James Anderson, Sr., for outstanding service to the youth of Springfield. Isn't that nice?
You know, it's a funny thing, Margaret, but I've got a peculiar feeling that the plaque isn't all mine.
What do you mean, dear?
Well, I wasn't getting anywhere until that silly inheritance came along. You know what I'm going to do?
You're not going to give it back.
Oh, no. But down here on the bottom, I'm going to put a little sticker that says, with 1 assist from Cousin Joe.
Join us again next week when we'll be back with Father Knows Best, starring Robert Young as Jim Anderson, with Roy Bargy and the Maxwell House Orchestra. In our cast were Rhoda Williams as Betty, June Whitley, Ted Donaldson, Norma Jean Nielsen, Howard McNair, and yours truly, Bill Foreman. So until next Thursday, good night and good luck from the makers of Maxwell House, America's favorite brand of coffee. Always good to the last drop. Father Knows Best was transcribed in Hollywood and written by Ed James. Now stay tuned in for Dragnet, which follows immediately over most of these stations.
February 1st, 1951, Father Knows Best on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we head to 79 Wistful Vista and check out what's going on with Fibber McGee and Molly. This episode, February 1st, 1956.
Again, we invite you to listen to the transcribed adventures of Fibber McGee and Molly. The show is written by Phil Leslie and Ralph Goodman and directed by Max Hutto.
McGee?
Yeah, what you want?
Listen, at the back door. Do you hear what I hear?
Yeah, hey, he's back. Good old Gregory is back. The prodigal has returned.
Don't let it throw you, dearie. After all, he's only a cat.
Only a cat? Old Gregory, Snaggletooth, Split Ears, Peck the Third, only a cat? Gregory, my dear, is to me like one of the family. Run, let him in, will you? I'll prepare a little feast in his honor.
Okay. There's some milk out on the sink. Don't open up a new carton. I don't know what he sees in Gregory, but I know what Gregory sees in him. A kindly, affectionate meal ticket. Coming, Gregory. Ah, there you are. Aren't you ashamed of yourself, boy? You've been gone 3 days and you didn't even leave a farewell note. Where have you been? You don't say. Big fight, huh? I should see the other guy, huh? Well, if he looks anything like you, he's a mess. Come on in.
Oh, hi, Gregory, old boy. Hey, look what I got you. Nice saucer of milk. Now, wait a minute. I'll put it down. Wait a minute now. There. Boy, look at him go. He sure is hungry.
I wonder where he's been.
Well, old Greg's a bachelor, kiddo. He was probably out on a date.
What the girls see in him, I'll never know.
Well, now you hurt his feelings, you see. Oh, the milk's all gone, huh? Well, you wait a second, Greg. I got a little treat for you, boy. There, how's that? Looks good, huh?
Say, wait a minute, McGee. I bought that liver for our dinner tonight. You're not giving that to the cat. That's all we've got in the house, except some cold hot dogs from Saturday. Maybe you're not aware of meat prices, McGee, but that liver costs 90 cents a pound.
Well, what do you say, kiddo?
Well, how do you want your cold hot dogs tonight, cold or warmed over?
Anyway, suits me. After all, if we want Gregory to stick around more, we got to treat him right.
I don't know how he can complain.
I'll fix his cushion on the chair. He'll probably want a nap after his lunch like he usually does. Ah, it's sure good to have old Gregory home. Me and him have a lot of fun. Come on, Gregory, get the ball. Come on, boy, get it. Here it is. Here it is. Got it. Now, let's try it again.
You know, that cat certainly is smart.
Oh, sure he is.
The way he gets you to do tricks. Lying there, not saying a word, and getting you to throw the ball and chase it all by yourself.
Grocery boy!
Ever since that rainy day you found him in the alley and brought him home, that cat...
Hello there, kids. Hi, daughter. Hi, Johnny. It's me.
Hello, Mr. Oldtimer.
I brung your order, daughter, and I want to say, what are you doing here, you little rascal?
Well, I live here, old-timer. What do you mean, what am I doing here?
No, not you, Johnny. I mean that little rascal you're holding in your lap.
Oh, him, that's...
I've been looking all over for you, Beauregard.
Beauregard?
How did that cat of mine get all the way over here?
Cat of yours?
You mean to say this is your cat?
Yep. Had him for over a month now. Found him in an alley one day during a rainstorm.
So did we.
So did you?
Yes.
Now, wait a minute, Johnny. I don't know what you're trying to pull here, but that cat's mine. You ain't stealing Beauregard that easy.
His name is not Beauregard, it's Gregory, and we saw him first.
You couldn't have, daughter. He's my cat. Come on, Beauregard, let's go home.
Don't you listen to him, Gregory. You stay right where you darn are.
Yes.
Now, look here, kids. Let's not argue. That cat is mine.
No,
and
sir.
I just want to show you that...
You stand right here. You're not
He's
taking...
not
Come
Mr.
here,
Oldtimer.
Gregory. You keep your hands off.
Now look what you did. You chased the poor cat under the sofa.
I didn't chase him. Johnny did. All I did was say, come on, Beauregard, let's go home. Johnny's the one who grabbed for his tail.
Well, you're not taking Gregory out of here. He may come over to your house once in a while for a handout, but he spends most of the time here.
He does, huh? Well, where was he the past 3 days?
Well...
Over at my place, that's where.
Yeah, but where was he the most of the week before that?
Well...
Over here with us, that's where.
That don't prove a thing, daughter. I still say he's mine.
I say he's ours.
Now, wait a minute, boys. I've got a good idea. This should solve the problem fair and square.
What's that, kiddo?
Let's hear it, daughter.
Well, we both known the cat for about a month, right?
Right.
Well, let's just add up how many days and nights during the past month Gregory, or Beauregard, as the case may be, has spent at each house.
Good. Then the one with the biggest total wins. Fair enough.
That sounds okay to me, daughter. Give me a pencil and paper. I got my diary right here. I'll put down...
And remember now, boys, no cheating, either of you. This is an important decision for this cat. We want to find out which home he likes the best so he can stay there, right?
Right. Stand by, Gregory.
Yeah, Beauregard, we'll be with you in a minute.
There. I got all the days and nights he spent here wrote down, and by George, this ought to prove whose cat good old Gregory is. Come on, old-timer, hurry it up, will you?
Don't rush me, Johnny. Now, let me see. Was it Wednesday or Thursday that Beauregard had that asthma attack?
You sure it was asthma?
No, I think it was Friday.
Friday?
No, come to think of it, it was the hives. I was the one that had the asthma.
Oh,
That was Tuesday. I know it was Tuesday because me and him were listening to that fishing program he likes, Dip Net. And he started scratching. Okay, Beauregard boy, I'm ready. All right, kids, I got it all down here. What's your total, Johnny?
17. That's over half the month.
17?
Yep, 10 days and 7 nights.
Well, what do you know? That's what I got. 17. 10 nights and 7 days.
Oh, dear, if that isn't the darndest thing. Exactly the same.
Somebody must have cheated, that's all.
Well, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me either. Beauregard is my cat.
His name ain't Beauregard, Dad Rabbit. My cat Gregory is...
Your cat, it's my cat.
It is not
Here,
your
here,
cat.
here, now stop it, both of you. You too, Gregory. Now look, we're never going to settle this thing by arguing. What we need is somebody to act as a mediator. Some intelligent, level-headed person to listen to both sides and judge this case honestly and fairly. Hello, operator. Get me Dr. George Gamble's office and hurry. This is urgent.
Now, you swear that whatever decision Doc Gamble makes, you'll go by it, right?
That's okay by me, Johnny. He's the judge. Agreed, daughter?
Agreed. He said he'd be here in a few minutes.
We'll run this thing just like a court trial. Each side gets 10 minutes to present their case.
And the doctor's verdict is final.
Don't worry, Beauregard. Won't be long now till you and I go home. When Judge Dr. Gamble opens court...
Well, here he is now. Come in.
Hello, Molly.
Hello, Dr. Gamble. So good of you to come over.
Ah, my good and true friend, the honest doctor.
Huh?
I love you too, Doc. Hi.
Hi, old-timer. Hey, what goes on here, anyhow? Molly, your phone call was very intriguing.
Well, we have a problem, Doctor. We need somebody to judge it for us, and you're the man. We agreed.
What was that? Well, I'll be darned. Homer. How did you get all the way over here, boy?
Homer?
What? Homer?
Well, yes, he's my cat.
That's Beauregard. He's my cat, Doc.
Gregory's our cat.
I don't know about Gregory's son, but this is Homer here. I'd know that split ear any place. Picked him up in an alley one night in a rainstorm. Come on, Homer, I'll take you home.
You're not taking that cat any place.
I'm not leaving without him.
I'm taking him myself.
He's staying here.
Wait a minute.
Now, Dr. Gamble, you have
right here in this living room all night, for all I care.
I'm just stubborn enough to do it, too.
You're not going to take Gregory out of this house.
His name's not Gregory, it's Homer.
It's Gregory.
Homer! You're illegally detaining my cat, McGee, and I ought to have a warrant sworn out for you.
Oh, yeah?
You're both a couple of cat burglars, that's what you are. You're both trying to steal my little Beauregard. I ain't leaving this house till Bo comes to me.
Quiet down there, all of you. It's after midnight. I'm trying to sleep. So is Gregory.
Okay, kiddo. Good night. Now, look here, you guys. That's my cat.
Goodbye, all.
Fibber McGee and Molly, transcribed, is brought to you Mondays through Fridays at this time by Miles Laboratories, makers of Alka-Seltzer. Bill Thompson is the old-timer, and Arthur Q. Bryan is Dr. Gamble. The cat was played by Jack Crucian, who is an otherwise normal and sane actor. Now, who would guess that a beaten-up, split-eared alley cat would cause all this trouble? It must be personality. And how do you think our friends can resolve this difficulty? Well, I don't know either, but I'm going to be around again tomorrow because I have a hunch we're not through with this feline. This is John Wald inviting you to join me then. Bye.
February 1st, 1956, Fibber McGee and Molly on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
This is Groucho Marx. A few days ago, I was talking with the Director of Civil Defense, and he told me some things that I feel everyone should know. That's why I'm speaking to you now. Did you know, for example, that your chances of surviving an atom bomb attack are excellent? It's true, but there's a big if. You must do everything possible now to help yourself and your family. Nobody else will help you. Listen, because this is important. Keep a complete first aid kit handy. Keep a closed container of drinking water in your refrigerator, enough for 3 days. Be sure you have a good fire extinguisher. Take a look around your house right now and pick out the safest spot, away from windows and doors. Make sure that every member of your family understands he is to rush to that safe spot when there's danger. I'm convinced that these precautions are necessary right now, and I hope I can convince you. They're important to your family, yourself, and your community.
So I guess Groucho would say the secret word is preparedness, which even today is not bad, although maybe not in the same ways. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater here on your favorite station. Hope you'll visit my webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, and contact me there. I've even got the links to our social media at classicradio.stream. Please thank this station, support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. And don't forget, if you miss a day, you do not have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on podcast, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Search your favorite app, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tell all your friends that great radio shows are right here in this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.